Hello. So today's video, we are going to be looking at your day 9 in-class notes. So you have this in your notes packet. Again, you have your day 9 in-class notes. We're not going to be doing the first problem. The second one is using quadrant 1 to fill in the remainder of your unit circle. We're not going to do that either. You do have videos on how to fill out your unit circle. So if you're still struggling with the unit circle, go back and watch one of those videos. This is saying, given quadrant 1, use those patterns that you see to fill in the rest. What we're going to do today is we are going to be doing the bottom part of the day 9 in-class video, which is on inverse trig. Remember, inverse trig is all about finding the angle measures. So the first problem in your notes, which you can go on Canvas and look at the answers to that, was when we used our calculators. So when I wanted to find the angle with sine, I had to hit second sine. That was your inverse trig button. Here we are looking at the inverse trig from the unit circle. So if I'm looking at the first question, it says sine. That means I want the y value. This is saying, where on the unit circle do I see a y value of root 2 over 2? So again, we're looking for the y value. Again, I have a clean unit circle here. You should have a clean unit circle that you should always have access to, and you should always have that with you when you're doing your work. And when I look at my unit circle, again, I'm looking for the y value that has a positive root 2 over 2. We see that that's in two spots. If I'm looking at my unit circle, it's over here at 45 degrees, and it's over here at 135. There are two spots. Remember, sine is your movement up. So I'm looking, where am I going up? Root 2 over 2. And it's in those two spots. But for sine, and your last video talked about this, when I'm choosing a value for sine in my unit circle, I'm going to choose if it happens in quadrant 1 or quadrant 4. So although it was here at 135, I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to use the one that was at 45 degrees, which is pi over 4, because I want the answer in radians and degrees. We move on to our next one. This is cosine. So this means I am looking for an x value of 1/2. X is your movement right left, so it's positive. So I'm looking, where are my angles that are going to be moving to the right 1/2? My x value, I see that I've gone to the right 1/2 at 60 degrees, and I've moved right to the 1/2 at 300 degrees. 60 and 300, those are the two places where I have moved to the right, which is my cosine value of 1/2. Now the last one we talked about, this was where do we look for sine? If we're looking at cosine, we're choosing the one value that's either in quadrant 1 or quadrant 2. Every single one of these values will always be in two different spots. You have to choose which one's the right one. So 60, 300, we're not going to choose the one down here at 300, we're going to choose the 60. So this is at 60 degrees, which is pi over 3. And then we go to tangent. All right, so tangent is y over x, but we have tangent on our circle. We are looking at the purple. So I'm looking at the purple, and I'm looking, where do I have a tangent value of 1? That as well as in two spots. I see a purple value of 1 tangent at 45 degrees, and I see a tangent value of 1 down over here at 225. So I see in two spots at 45 and at 225. It's always going to be in two spots. When I'm looking at tangent though, I'm choosing the one from quadrant 1 or quadrant 4. So although it's down here, that's not the one we're going to choose. We're going to choose the one from quadrant 1, which is 45 degrees, which is pi over 4. Moving on to number 4. sine of 0. So sine is y value. I'm looking for where do I see a y value of 0. The y, don't forget, is the second coordinate. That means I'm not moving up, down any. That happens in two spots. It happens at 0, which is 360, and it happens at 180, because remember the y value of 0. But if I look at what we talked about, sine, we're going to choose the value from 1 or 4. So I'm not going to choose the 180. I'm going to choose 0 degrees, which is 0 radians. And it's not going to be wrong if you write 360. Moving on. Number 5, sine. So we're looking at sine again. The y value. So when we look at our unit circle, we're looking at the y value, the second coordinate, and we are going to a -1. That means I am moving down 1. I only move down 1 at one location, and that is 270 degrees. This is where we need to make special note. When I'm in quadrant 4 for sine and tangent, I'm going to use negative angles, negative degrees. So I'm not going to write 270. 270 is equivalent to a -90 degrees, which is a -π/2. So for sine or tangent, anytime the value that you're looking for happens to be in quadrant 4, we're using the negative equivalent angle, not the positive. This is the only time it's going to happen is when I'm choosing the angle from quadrant 4, and that only happens for sine or tangent. So I'm not using 270 and 3π/2. I'm using a -90, which is a -π/2. Okay, next one, tangent of a -√3/3. So when we look at a unit circle, we're looking at the purple. I look all around my circle, and I find a -√3/3 here at 150 degrees, and I find a -√3/3 here, which is at 330 degrees. So in quadrant 2 and in quadrant 4. We know tangent, we don't use the values from quadrant 2, we're going to use the value from quadrant 4. And that's at 330 degrees, but remember, we don't use the positive angles in quadrant 4. 330 is the same as a -30 degrees, which is a -π/6. All right, 2 more to go. Cosine of a -1. So cosine is x. We are moving, remember, cosine is left, right, sine is up, down. Since it's negative, I'm looking for where do I move left 1. Here it is. I am moving left 1 right here. There's only one place that I'm going to the left 1, and that is at 180 degrees, which is 1π. Last one, cosine, which means x. Negative, which means I'm moving to the left. Where on the unit circle have I gone left √3/2? So I'm going left √3/2, going left √3/2. My x-coordinate is at 150 and at 210. Those are the two places on my unit circle where I have gone left √3/2. Cosine, remember, we're going to choose the value from 1 or 2. So I'm going to choose the value here, not the value at 210, which means we have 150 degrees, which is at 5π/6. So inverse trig is all about what angle gives you that trig ratio. And that is it for this video. Good timing with the battery dying.